What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about All Hallows Eve 2. In my review for the first All Hallows Eve, I mentioned, I've seen it before, I really like it, and, this movie, All Hallows Eve 2, this was a first time watch for me, partly because I was kind of hesitant to watch it for a while. I've been a fan of the first All Hallows Eve, and I really, I really thought this movie was gonna be unenjoyable for me personally, because, you know, okay, the first All Hallows Eve is directed by Damien Leone, and it features Art the Clown. That's a big selling point. At this point, the Terrifier franchise is pretty darn popular. The character of Art is very popular, so the fact that this did not have Art the Clown, and the fact that it was not directed by Damien Leone was a big reason why I never checked it out. And then maybe I saw the I didn't see the trailer right before watching it, but maybe like over the years I saw the trailer and I'm like, that doesn't look that good. But man, am I glad that I finally checked this out, because I thought this movie was extremely solid. I was shocked, because I really enjoyed this movie. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it in my opinion. All of Okay, so it's an anthology, like the first movie, just to let you all know if you're not familiar with this. I guess it's a franchise. There's two. If you're not familiar with these films, this is an anthology film. The first one was an anthology. So yeah, every segment in this anthology was good. There was no bad one at all. But of course, there was ones that I just thought were like, whatever, and there was ones that I really liked more than the others. But yeah, there was not a bad one at all. Yeah, I was so surprised with this movie. This movie was really darn good. But basically, oh yeah, and I kind of talked about how, in my little intro or whatever, I kind of talked about how Damien Leone didn't direct this and it didn't feature Art the Clown. Even though, that was the case, he still was involved in the making of this movie. He was a producer. I believe there was two producers, or maybe there were more, but he was a producer. So it's not like he was not involved at all. He was still involved. And yeah, with that being said, I just had to mention that, because I am a fan of his. Terrifier 1 and 2 rock. The first All Hallows Eve rocks. I'm gonna go out and say it, man. The second All Hallows Eve rocks. This movie rocks. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm gonna talk about the wraparound segment, and then I'm gonna get into each, actual anthology segment. So, I'm not gonna give you all like a traditional plot summary. I'm gonna do it how I just said. Like, that's gonna be kind of my format. But I'll give you kind of a intro into the plot so you're not too lost. So basically, the movie starts with the wraparound segment, which is what I'm gonna call it. So it's Halloween night. Actually, I don't even know if it's Halloween night. I think it is. But anyways, there's this woman, and she's at her house. She's sipping some wine, which, I'm all about that. Sipping some drinks. I'm down for it. Anyways, she's at home, sipping some wine, and she sees this creepy dude outside with, he's got like a pumpkin for a mask, which I thought it looked pretty cool. In a couple photos that I saw before watching this, I was like, I don't know, that's like, I back in the day I thought it kind of looked silly, but actually watching the movie, I thought it looked cool. Yeah, so basically, she looks outside. There's this gentleman in a, pumpkin mask, and she's a little creeped out. Then that gentleman comes to her door, leaves her a VHS tape. They try to make this fool Michael Myers so hard, like the whole window scene when she sees him, very reminiscent of Michael Myers. And then when he actually comes to her doorstep, he does like the Michael Myers head tilt. So that's dollar store Michael Myers right there. No, I'm just playing. He was cool. But anyways, this woman gets the VHS tape, and she's on the phone with her friend, and she's like, "You still have a VCR?" Which I like that they actually addressed that, because this came out in 2015. The first one came out in 2013, and the first one I'm like, why do these kids have a VCR? What the heck is going on? At least they addressed it, that it is weird to have a VCR in the 2010s. Not weird, like a lot of people collect VHS, and I'm not hating, I think that's super cool, but you gotta at least mention the fact that it's uncommon to have a VCR in the 2010s. So basically, she's on the phone with her friend. She's like, "You still have a VCR?" And she's like, "Of course I do. You gotta have a VCR. You gotta watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre on VHS, or if you watch it on Blu-ray, it's not the same." And like at that moment, I was like, man, like if I was in the movie, I would for sure holler at this chick. I'll be like, "What's up, baby?" Like, she's talking about watching the original Texas Chainsaw on VHS to give it that kind of grimy, realistic look. I mean, and she's sipping drinks. Like, baby girl, here's my number. Like, let's hang. Like, let's talk horror. Come on. But yeah, that chick, I mean, she was a beautiful lady, and she's trying to watch the original Texas Chainsaw on VHS. Like, come on, dude. Come on, that's a keeper right there. So yeah, basically, she throws the VHS in, and then, we see all the segments that are on the VHS. So the first segment here is called Jack Attack. I think there's 8 segments total. Let me count. Yep, 8 segments. So the first segment is Jack Attack. Oh my goodness, this first segment actually was scary, because I'm gonna just moving forward. I'm gonna get into a lot of spoilers. This movie's kind of hard to talk about without getting into spoilers. So just warning you all, I'm getting into a lot of spoilers here. So there's your warning. This first short, Jack Attack, freaked me out because it was they have a pumpkin and they're carving it, and after they take the seeds out, they put the seeds in the oven, cook up some pumpkin seeds. The kid eats one of the pumpkin seeds, and his like eyes go white, and he basically dies, like right off the bat. This is the first segment, and there's already a little kid dying. I was like, what the heck is going on? I was freaked out. I was like, this is hardcore, man. I'm like, I was not ready for this. And then she thinks he's choking. She's trying to save his life. The Heimlich maneuver's not working. She grabs a knife and performs a tracheotomy on this kid. I could barely watch that. It was so hard to watch that. I was actually like talking to the screen. I was like, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. That made me so uncomfortable. You're about to just give a little kid a makeshift tracheotomy with a big old knife. That first segment was hardcore. That freaked me out. I mean, anything with like the throat slit, you just kind of cringe. You're like, because you think like, ooh, what if that was me? That's not a good area to get sliced up. But when it's a kid, man, that's hardcore. So yeah, she tries to save the kid, and it turns out they have like these pumpkins growing in them. Like they they got a bad pumpkin, and the pumpkin seeds cause them to like grow these pumpkins inside them, and it kills them. That's that. So the first segment I thought was really good in terms of the fact that it actually really scared me, and it was a unique idea. All these segments were extremely unique. It's not just like, oh, there's like a slasher and someone gets stabbed. Not hating on that. If you all watch my channel, you know I absolutely love slasher movies, but I feel like this was like a fresh anthology. Like all of the segments were pretty darn unique and creative. Yeah, so the first segment was awesome. The second segment I really liked as well. It was called The Last Halloween, and it was kind of this dystopian world. I didn't know what the heck was going on. Maybe there was a virus out, but all these people, their houses are all like decrepit, and this one family, they're like pretty much like doomsday prepping. They got the like surveillance cameras and big gate, and there's these kids trick-or-treating, and everyone thinks it's weird that they're trick-or-treating because, you know, they live in this dystopian world. Like who's gonna think about Halloween? Who's gonna be out walking in the street by themselves? Like, stay in your house, board it up. There's clearly some crazy stuff going on. But anyways, you know, the kids, they try to go to this compound. I'm gonna call it a compound, the big gated house. They try to go to this compound. This guy's like, I'm not letting them in. They might, you know, they're up to no good. Who even goes trick-or-treating, you know, in this day and age, in this current climate with the world ending? You know, it's a little suspicious. The world's about to end and you're going trick-or-treating. Like, get your priorities straight. These kids are up to no good. So anyways, the kids, they go try to trick-or-treat and he's not letting them in, and spoiler alert, they get in the house and they're wearing various costumes. One kid is a ghost, one kid is the devil, this one girl, she's a witch, and then the other kid is the Grim Reaper, and they transform into the actual monsters, you know, of the actual monsters of the costumes they're wearing, and it's all practical. The monster, like the actual monster effects look great, and yeah, you know, they take out the family. That one was really good. I think my favorites were the first one, the second one. So Jack Attack, I liked. The Last Halloween. There's this one called Descent that I really liked, and then there's this one called Mr. Tricker's Treat. Those four were my favorite. But anyways, moving on to the third one. The third one, it was called The Offering. I'm not going to get into it that much because I don't want this video to be 5 hours long. But basically, it was okay. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with any of these ones. It was just okay though. It was, you know, these two gentlemen, they're trying to, you know, give this offering at midnight for some creature that we don't know, and, you know, they forget part of the offering, and this gentleman does not, you know, he pretty much sacrifices his own son. So it was unique, it was cool, but it wasn't one of my favorites. Moving on to the fourth one called Descent. This one was one of my absolute favorites. This one was so good. So this woman witnesses a murder, and because she's going over to her friend's house, she witnesses a murder, and then, you know, some time passes, and like the killer doesn't see her, she's in the closet. Some time passes, she is on an elevator, the person who she saw kill her friend hops on the elevator, and she's freaking out. She stabs him a bunch of times with a pen, and then, you know, because wait, did I mention that she's not just on the elevator is stuck? I don't know if I did mention that, but that's important to note. So yeah, this elevator gets stuck, so she's, you know, it's not like she can just get off. She's trapped with the killer. You know, he doesn't know that she's the one who witnessed the murder, but she knows he's the killer. So, you know, yeah, one thing leads to another. She just stabs him a bunch of times with a pen, and the elevator eventually starts working again. She gets off. She thinks everything's all good, but every person that she sees in the lobby is the killer. Has this, like, looks exactly like the killer. Has the same face. It's the same guy. So the killer has like cloned himself a bunch of times, basically. And then it turns out, that basically she was just, maybe it was PTSD or maybe some trickery, who knows, but actually how she envisioned that everyone was the killer, it was all in her mind, and the person that she killed was not even the killer. She envisioned that as well, so that was a good twist, and that was, freaky, because now she has to live with the fact that she just murdered someone and she's probably going to go to jail for life. So that one was really good. There was some good suspense in there. Like, it was just kind of a slow build, but in a good way, where there was a lot of tension going on, a lot of suspense. That one was awesome. Moving on, the next one was called The Masochist. This one was short. It was a cool concept, but it wasn't one of my favorites. Basically, these kids are at this carnival, and there's this carnival game where they can, throw various weapons at this gentleman who's on a wheel, and there's this one kid who's like kind of reluctant. He's like, nah, I don't want to do that. It's like a little crazy. And then his friends are like throwing spike balls and knives at the guy, and then the gentleman who's on the wheel and having things thrown at him has a mask on. Eventually the mask comes off, and we find out that it's the kid who doesn't want to throw any knives. It's his dad, and he was abused, so he goes crazy on this fool. He's hitting him with the nail gun, hitting him with all kinds of stuff, and then he eventually throws a chainsaw at his dad, and pretty much, I mean, we don't see it, but come on, we know what happens. He decapitates him. I mean, that's a good chainsaw throw. I mean, that's a heavy piece of machinery there. You're just gonna throw the chainsaw, it's gonna perfectly cut someone's head off. This kid has skills, man. Put him in the circus, this kid needs to be like a YouTube sensation. He can like juggle chainsaws and throw chainsaws and cut a tree in one go. I don't know, but anyways, the when a chainsaw is flying in the air, it's CGI and it looks really bad. But I mean, what are you gonna do? How else are you gonna do that? This isn't a big budget movie, and I think all the shorts were just made by filmmakers and they were compiled together for this movie. So I mean, I'm not gonna be mad that the CGI wasn't good in some low budget short film. The short film was still good, and I who cares? It was fine. But I just wanted to mention it, like, that when the chainsaw is in the air, the CGI looks bad, dude. But I'm not tripping. Anyways, moving on. The next one's called A Boy's Life. It's about this kid, and he thinks there's a monster in his room. That one I wasn't a huge fan of. Like I said, none of these are bad, but that one was kind of slow and drawn out, and I don't know. Like, it wasn't one of my favorites. I know I didn't go deep into that, but I pretty much told you all, like, this kid, there's a monster in his room, and then since I've just been spoiling everything, I'll spoil this as well. The monster eventually takes out his mom, so that's not cool, pretty tragic. But I don't know, that one wasn't one of my faves. So this next one was absolutely one of my favorites. This is one of the four ones that I really liked that I mentioned. So it was called Mr. Tricker's Treat, and it was this guy. He's got all these people tied up and drugged, and he's got this one guy in a cage, and he's putting a gag on his mouth so he can't scream. And he starts putting these people's bodies out as if they're just Halloween decorations. So, the one guy who's in the cage is eventually drugged, and he's wearing a skeleton costume. So the guy who's holding these people captive, he just puts a skeleton mask on this person. The person's drugged, so he just leans them outside on a chair, like you would just put. People put all these like full size Halloween decorations out that's supposed to look like a skeleton or Jason or Michael Myers or whatever. So he puts this drugged person out like it's a decoration, and then he gets another person. He's got a noose outside. He gets another person, puts a sheet on him to make him look like a ghost, and hangs this person. And this woman, like I think it's his neighbor, comes by while he's doing all this, and she's like super ditzy. She's like, well, like your Halloween decorations are like so cool. And her character is kind of funny because she's just like over the top, kind of ditzy, and she's just like a total airhead. And I don't know, I thought her character was kind of funny, and she was like, oh my gosh, your Halloween decorations are so realistic. And she keeps saying like, you like the guy who's holding these people captive, and I mean pretty much killing them. I'm just gonna call him the killer now. So the killer, he's just sweating. He's like, I'm gonna get found out, because she'll keep saying things like, oh, what is this, a real body? She's like, no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, and then the one skeleton, the guy in the skeleton suit, he's kind of like squirming a little bit. So like right before she rolls up, he slits that guy's throat. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but whatever, just so you guys get the order of events going on. But yeah, he has these dead bodies out here. This girl thinks they're just decorations, so she's like touching them and whatever, and it's like tense, where he's just sweating, he's stressed that she's gonna find out, and because she keeps like saying things like, oh, what is this, a real body? This is so realistic. But anyways, he ends up killing her, and that's the end of it. I thought there was a lot of tension. I liked that one woman, her character, the kind of ditzy girl. She was kind of fun, and yeah, it was a great segment. It's a unique concept, like a killer. That's just such a genius idea, hiding the bodies in plain sight. Nobody is gonna know. I mean, unless they start smelling or something or bleeding. But it's Halloween. People put decorations like that out. Nobody, for the most part, would say anything. So I just thought that was such a clever idea. It was just a freaky idea, and like I said, the way that story went, there was just so much tension. I really liked that one. That one was awesome. And moving on to the last one. The last one was called Alexia, and it was all in Spanish, and there was no subtitles, but it didn't really matter because there wasn't really that much dialogue. I mean, he was like typing on Facebook a lot, and you couldn't really, I personally couldn't read it because I don't speak Spanish, but I mean, you could still understand the story and what was going on without the subtitles, so it didn't really bother me. This one wasn't one of my faves, but I thought it was a super unique concept. It was basically he had like a haunted computer, so I mean, in this day and age, I mean, we're on our computers all day. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just maybe I need to touch grass or something. I don't know. But yeah, basically, yeah, she. I mean, what am I talking about? She. The main guy is a he. I need to. recenter here. I'm totally bombing this review. No, I'm just playing. I'm blowing it. But anyways, yeah, you know, in this day and age with us being, you know, chronically online, chronically on our phones, chronically on our computers, the concept of a haunted computer that he tries unplugging it, he tries turning it off, he'll leave the room, nothing's working. So I think that's like a very topical thing because, like I said, we live in a day and age where we're always on our computers, so it's topical, it's relevant, it's super creative. I don't think I've seen another film do something with a haunted computer, so I know for this one I haven't gotten into the story that much, but I gave you all the gist. It's a haunted computer. So yeah, even though I didn't totally love that one, it was still a super interesting and unique concept. Yeah, so those were all the segments, and then, you know, you got some stuff with the wraparound at the end with the pumpkin killer and the woman who's sipping wine and likes to watch Texas Chainsaw on VHS. So after all the segments, you do have some more wraparound. There's the wraparound segment is also like sprinkled in between all the anthology segments. But yeah, at the end you have the wraparound as well, and some stuff happens. I already spoiled everything, so I'm not gonna spoil anymore. I've you know, hit my spoiler limit for the day. But yeah, I just told you all the whole movie, so I mean, if you haven't seen it, there's no point in watching it now. I'm just joking. But anyways, yeah, I talked about everything I want to talk about, so I'm gonna give you all my recommendation, and then I'm gonna skate on out of here. So basically, I would absolutely recommend this. I think this movie was fantastic. I really thought it was good. And yeah, you know, if you're like me where you were hesitant to watch it because, you know, Damien Leone is not directing this one and it doesn't feature Art the Clown at all, that doesn't matter. Even though I love Damien Leone and I love Art the Clown, this doesn't have to have anything to do with Art the Clown to be good. It's like its standalone thing. It's a sequel, but it's not really a sequel. You know, I mean, it's a sequel in name and it's still an anthology, but it's pretty much like a standalone thing. Yeah, don't go in with those like preconceived notions like, oh, it doesn't have Art the Clown, it's not worth my time. This movie is for sure worth your time. This is a great film to watch in October. This is a great anthology, so I would definitely recommend it. Go out and watch this if you haven't seen it. So yeah, there's my recommendation. I you know, came through, did my review. So like I said, I'm gonna peace on out in a sec, but before I peace on out, thank you all very much for watching. And I'm peacing out now. So peace out.